Today, we're diving deep into the transformative power of your inner dialogue, the language you use when speaking to yourself. I'm thrilled to guide you on this journey toward unlocking your true potential. The hardest part of this incredible journey we're on is quite simple: making the time for it. You see, it's about dedicating precious moments to yourself, eliminating the people and things that don't serve your highest self. Imagine waking up each morning or going to bed each night and asking, what's the greatest ideal of myself that I want to be today? But here's the kicker. Commit to not getting up until you embody that person. Wrestle with your limitations, overcome them, and witness the magic unfold. Self-love isn't just about pleasurable activities. It's about confronting your hardwired thoughts, beliefs, and emotional propensities. The real breakthrough happens when you liberate yourself from emotional addictions, and joy becomes the side effect. Break free from the chains of emotional addiction, and you'll experience a newfound love and respect for yourself. When you respect yourself, you naturally extend that love and respect to others, seeing yourself mirrored in them. Now, with this freedom, you can understand others with compassion, devoid of knee-jerk reactions. The difficulty lies in making the time for this transformation. Imagine creating a new way of being, committing to not rising until you've become that person. By doing this, you not only memorize it in your brain, but also allow those thoughts to become your present reality. It's about the mind and body working together in harmony, maintaining that state of being throughout the day. Let's dive into the fascinating world of meditation. No complicated jargon, just simple truths. In Tibetan, meditation means becoming familiar with yourself. Imagine it as getting to know the inner you, like making friends with the person you are when no one else is around. It's about becoming aware of what's going on inside your head, heart, and habits, so nothing slips by unnoticed. Now, why bother? Well, knowing yourself is like having a superpower. It's about being aware of both the old you, the one with all the familiar quirks and habits, and the new you you're aiming to become. Picture it as shaking hands with your past self while waving to the future you. But how does this work on a deeper level? It's like rewiring your brain to become buddies with the version of yourself you want to be. Neurologically wiring in your desired self is like programming your brain to recognize and embrace the new you. And guess what? When your brain gets on board, it becomes way easier to slip into the state of being that aligns with your goals. Let's break it down even further. A new state of being isn't just a fancy phrase. It's like trying on a new personality, the kind that matches your dreams and aspirations. Imagine it as stepping into the shoes of the person you want to become. And here's the beauty of it. A new personality isn't just a mask you put on temporarily. It's like a whole new reality for you, a personal reality that mirrors the person you're working towards. Now, let's delve into the power of decision. The desire to change is the first element. No one can make you change. You must find it within yourself. Consider those who make instant decisions, like the old-timer quitting smoking after seeing a spot on his lungs. It's a decision that becomes an experience, rewriting chemistry and biology. The person wanting to change must have firm intention, understanding that using the conscious mind alone won't suffice. You need to move beyond the analytical mind and understand brainwave patterns. Remember, 95% of who we are by the age of 35 is a set of memorized habits and behaviors. Changing isn't hard. You just need to learn how to unlearn and relearn. The latest research in neuroplasticity reveals that we're not hardwired to be a certain way for the rest of our lives. Similarly, epigenetics tells us we're not doomed by our genes. We are marvels of adaptability and change. Contemplate who you want to be when you open your eyes, imagining a new life. The frontal lobe starts calling up different networks of neurons, piecing together a new understanding. That's intention. As you learn new things, you add new connections to your brain, providing raw materials for imagining even more. Mentally rehearsing installs the neurological hardware, creating a map to the future. Soon, the hardware becomes a software program, and you start thinking and acting like the person you aspire to be. Let's break down the impact of emotion in your transformative journey. Emotions are like the secret sauce that adds flavor to your experience. Many of us wait for external events to trigger feelings of gratitude, empowerment, or love. We believe that once we have that new job, the perfect partner, or achieve a particular goal, then we'll feel those positive emotions. But let me tell you, the real magic unfolds when you decide to feel those emotions ahead of the actual experience. Think about it this way: your body, acting as the unconscious mind, doesn't care if the emotion is a result of a real-life event or if you're creating it through the power of thought alone. It doesn't distinguish between the two. So, when you intentionally generate feelings of gratitude, empowerment, or love, your biology undergoes a remarkable shift. You move from living in the past-present reality, where your emotions are tethered to past experiences, to the future-present reality, where your emotions shape the unfolding of a new, empowered you. This shift is like rewiring your emotional circuitry. You're no longer a passive recipient of emotions triggered by external events. Instead, you become the active architect of your emotional landscape. By feeling those positive emotions ahead of the experience, you signal to your body that a new reality is emerging. Your body believes it's living in the future, in the present moment. The stronger the emotion, the more attention your body pays to the thoughts generating those emotions. It's a powerful feedback loop that propels you toward your desired state of being. Now let's embark on a journey beyond the familiar realms of environment, emotion, and time. To truly embrace change, we need to transcend these constraints. Imagine stepping outside the boundaries of your physical surroundings, beyond the sway of your emotions, and breaking free from the linear concept of time. As you do so, you enter the realm of pure consciousness. What is pure consciousness? It's the essence of you when you strip away external definitions. It's when you become nobody, no one, nothing, nowhere, and no time. In this state, you shed the labels society places upon you, no longer defined by your job, relationships, or past experiences. You become a timeless, formless consciousness, a being unburdened by the limitations of the external world. In this transcendent state, you connect with the consciousness of the field, the infinite intelligence that permeates all of existence. It's a profound union with the universal energy that flows through every particle of the cosmos. Here, the boundaries that separate you from the external world dissolve, and you recognize the interconnectedness of all things. As pure consciousness, you gain access to other possibilities beyond the confines of the familiar past or the predictable future. This moment of transformation occurs in the generous present moment, the now. When you're truly present, you lose track of yourself, forgetting the limitations of your identity and opening yourself to a world of infinite potential. So once you make the time, speak to yourself correctly and tap into the power of decision, intention, and emotion. The shift happens. Embrace the process of unlearning and relearning. And remember, you are not bound by your past or your genes. You are a marvel of adaptability and change. As you speak to yourself in the language of transformation, you rewrite your biology and create a new reality. The power lies within you, and I encourage you to embark on this journey with firm intention, knowing that the shift you seek is just a decision away. The same behaviors create the same experiences, and the same experiences produce the same emotions. And those very same emotions drive the very same thoughts. And your biology, your neurocircuitry, your neurochemistry, your neurohormones, and even your genetic expression is equal to how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality. And your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. So then if you wanted to create a new personal reality, a new life, then you would have to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it. You would have to become aware of your unconscious thoughts and observe them. You would have to pay attention to your automatic habits and behaviors and modify them. And you would have to look at the emotions you live by every single day that are connected to your past and decide if those emotions belong in your future. You see, most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You literally have to become someone else. And you are here this week to learn vital information about creating a future and be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memories of the past. Because if you are not defined by some vision that is bigger than you and you are not passionate about that vision, then you are left with the old hardware of the past in your brain and you will be predictable in your life. So would you agree then? New thoughts, new information should lead to new choices. New choices should lead to new behaviors. And new behaviors should create new experiences. And new experiences should produce new emotions. And those new emotions should drive new thoughts. And that's called evolution. So if your brain is a record of the past and you don't have a vision of the future, then you are living in the past. And you will never arrive at that new future. Now there's another potential for you to exist free from the chains of the old self. That potential exists right now. And I want you to teach your body emotionally what it would feel like so that it begins to believe it's in the actual experience of freedom. Let your body feel freedom so that it thinks it's in the experience. And I want you to sit in your body emotionally to feel the joy of how you would feel. So the body begins to be in a future potential now, emotionally. And there's a potential for you to have all your needs met and be wealthy. And I want you to instruct your body to experience wealth and the joy of riches ahead of the actual events. So your body thinks it's in the experience. If you feel it, your body thinks it's in the experience. It doesn't know the difference. Now there's a potential in the field for a genius mind, quicksilver thoughts, insights that take you to new horizons. And the electricity that's created from an open mind teach your body emotionally the joy and the inspiration of what that would feel like, so the body begins to experience your genius and think that it's in the event now. And there's a possibility existing simultaneously in the quantum field of the vitality of a new life, rich with opportunity, an awe for adventure, and a sense of unbelievability where you feel like you're in a dream. There's a potential in the quantum field that all your prayers are answered, that possibility finds you, that its prayers are being answered. It has always seemed bigger than me because I've given it so much of my attention and so much of my energy. It is bigger than me. But when I no longer pay attention to it, just like not giving my power to it, now I can settle myself back into the present moment. And it's just the thought. And I examine that thought, I look at it, and I become very familiar and conscious of it. And then my brain will say, well, what about this? You did this wrong. It's too late. Give up. And then I address that thought. Now here's my question. 45 minutes of doing battle with your personality and continuously choosing love and unfolding deeper into it. If you make the effort to disinvest your attention and energy out of Goliath and pull energy back to you, but the next meditation that you have could be the easiest meditation for you to connect. Is it possible? So then that had to come up for you in order for you to evolve through it. Yes or no? And your body is just saying, look, I'd rather be worrying about my taxes than connect to the divine. Yes or no? There's a book that was one of my favorite books I ever read. It's called The Red Lion. And The Red Lion is a great story of an initiate that murders an alchemist and drinks the philosopher's stone drinks, the red lion, the elixir of life that causes immortality. And he wasn't ready to drink this philosopher's stone. He wasn't of the right consciousness. And when he drank it, He never forgot any of his lifetimes, and he saw all his demons. And this book is this journey of this soul through different levels of every single lifetime you can imagine that you and I can relate to. And he runs into a secret society and he becomes initiated. And there's a chapter in the Red Lion called the Kink Yard. And I asked my children to read that chapter every year. Every year they have to read that chapter because the initiate sits down in front of a statue, an inanimate statue. And his job is to animate that statue and bring it to life. Are you with me? And for years, he wakes up in the morning, makes his tea, has his breakfast, and then all day he's putting his life force and his energy into animating this particular statue. And after years, he notices it swallows. He notices it moving its finger. And the moment he starts to realize that he could take something inanimate and bring it to life, he gives it more of his attention and energy. You with me still? Until it is a walking, talking being. As we begin to create more coherence in the brain, more coherence in the heart, you're creating a very profound laser, a Wi-Fi signal that can allow you to read information. Can't read it if you're separate. You can't read it if your brain's incoherent. You can't read it if your heart's incoherent. And so the more coherence and order you have, the more the experience gets enriched, because you can't read that information unless you're ready for it. That's the point. So as people start getting through this and they start having very profound moments, and they're now opening their heart and they can sustain heart coherence and they know how to create brain coherence, that's the formula. And now they have a laser. They have coherent light and information that can read information that exists beyond the senses. And the pineal gland, once activated, will transduce it into profound imagery. Whether you see with your eyes open or your eyes closed, it doesn't matter because it's more real than anything you've ever experienced. Let's have a small pause here. It's the next part. Dr. Joe is going to talk about his research about the 4 states of matter. Listen carefully. This is very important. And so I started researching and I found that there's 4 states of matter. There's solids, there's liquids, there's gases, and the biggest, most abundant form of matter, what's called plasma. And plasma is when you have a negative charge and a positive charge, and they haven't formed an atom yet. So if you have a negative charge and a positive charge, then you're going to have an electrical current running between the two and a field around that current. And the universe really, stars connect through plasma. Everything connects through plasma. So when you start seeing these complex patterns, it's an impression from that plasma that's being pressed into 3-dimensional reality. And so if you take 3 stones, right, and you drop them at the same time into a plate, and you freeze the water in the plate, and those 3 stones fall, and they start producing concentric rings, and they start interfering with each other, you're starting to get complex pattern of interference. So vibrational match, all of a sudden your energy's at that point, and there's a door. And now you're going to get somebody who's going to, in your state of emotional freedom, in your state of your bliss or ecstasy or whatever it is, there's a perfect opportunity for a being that's vibrating at a similar frequency to begin to influence a person's future. But by the same means, if you can't get to that point and you're stuck, well, then there are beings that love to feed off emotions and feed off energy. And I've seen those too, because when a person finally gets beyond their suffering or whatever, they no longer can host on that person because they're no longer that emotion, that energy any longer. So then all of a sudden the person experiences a tremendous amount of freedom as well. And yeah, of course, now they're setting themselves up for something else. What I do know though is that our intention really is to connect to the divine. Our intention is to become divine. Our intention is to open our hearts and trust again, to love again. Our intention is to teach our bodies emotionally what our future could feel like, to trade guilt and shame and resentment and jealousy and envy and competition for love. And we practice that in our week-long events. And once this center begins to open up, we're after coherence. So if you have a coherent heart and you're able to manage that and sustain the heart coherence, the field around your body begins to expand up to 3 meters wide. And that frequency, that coherent frequency, is like a Wi-Fi signal. You got a signal now, and at the same time, once energy makes it to the heart and it goes to the brain, and you teach a person how to create a coherent brain and be able to suppress the mechanism of the thinking neocortex, the memory bank of the known self, teach a person how to operate from their limbic brain and tune that pineal gland into frequency and allow that pineal gland to lock into a frequency. Now you have a Wi-Fi signal as well, and it can read information. And these beings, I was doing this event in Florida, in Amelia Island. It was an advanced event, advanced follow-up. And this is people that have done advanced workshops. And the event was called Dream Time, that were up from 11 at night till 8 in the morning for the mystical. And if you don't want to do the mystical, don't come. But I'm going to be messing with your sleep, and I stay up the entire night. I'm watching the entire audience, and we're keeping them between worlds, between wakefulness and sleep in that theta realm. And many people have very profound transcendental experiences while we're doing it. And I was trying to think of a way to explain this to the audience, and I had just finished the morning. I hadn't done my meditation, so I went into my room, I sat up, I did my meditation, and then I laid down. And when I laid down, all of a sudden, I see this beautiful fractal pattern with my eyes closed in the room. And the moment I see that fractal pattern, I know that that's order. That's information, a packet, a standing wave of information. And I sense it. I see it with my eyes closed. And then it unfolds like it rolls out on this beautiful being standing right next to me. And I'm sitting there with my eyes closed. And I say, oh shit, like holy, like whoa. And I hear it laugh. And it sounds like a symphony, like a harmony. In fifth dimensional creation, you are not going anywhere to get anything. Fifth dimensional creation has nothing to do with going anywhere to get anything. Because if you combine a clear intention, a coherent thought, coherent brainwave pattern, with a coherent heart, moving into that elevated emotion, thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. The magnetism of this center becomes the energy. The intention is carried on that energy, and now you are broadcasting a new signature into the quantum field. Now, if it's done properly, and you understand the mechanics, in fifth dimensional creation, you are not going anywhere to get anything. You are actually collapsing space and time, and you are drawing the experience to you. You are the vortex. Because when there's a vibrational match between your energy and that potential that exists in the quantum field, by tuning a radio dial, when you lock into that frequency, if you keep revisiting that energetic signature over again every single day, then you don't have to go anywhere and get it. The new job finds you. The new house actually finds you. The new relationship finds you, because you are the vortex that's drawing the experience to you. My definition of creation is when I forget about me. I become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, and no time. I become pure consciousness. And the moment I reach that elegant moment of the generous present moment, all possibilities in the quantum field exist truly when our brain and body are in the present moment. Getting there is the work. So then most people then create reality from what we call three-dimensional creation. Now, when you teach people how to take their attention off of matter, off of objects, off of a particle, and sense energy and sense space and pay attention to nothing, the moment they begin to open their focus, all of a sudden, their brain waves begin to change from beta to alpha. But not only just alpha, where the imaginary inner world starts to become more real, but very coherent brainwave patterns in alpha. So when you're under stress, you're trying to control that person, that thing that you're experiencing. Your attention is shifting from one thing to the next. Turns out that each one of those things has a neurological network in the brain assigned to it because we've experienced it. So as you try to control all these things and your attention is shifting, you measure the brain. There's no coherency. The brain is very incoherent. Why is it important to have coherency? Well, because the moment you open your focus and the brain begins to acclimate, different compartments of the brain begin to unify. They begin to synchronize, and what syncs in the brain links in the brain. So when your brain is coherent, you're coherent. When your brain is incoherent, you are incoherent. The person, the maverick, who's willing to step out into the unknown, that unknown is the perfect place to create from. Because only in the unknown can you create something new. And if you and I can become comfortable in that unknown place, then the best way to predict the future is to create it from that unknown place. Now, when people start crossing the river of change from the old self to the new self, because they're no longer thinking, acting, and feeling in the same way, there is literally a biological, a neurological, a genetic, a chemical death of the old self. And this dark night of the soul, this unfamiliar place, is the true value, the true step towards developing a new self. And your biology, your neurocircuitry, your neurochemistry, your neurohormones, and even your genetic expression is equal to how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality, and your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. So then, if you wanted to create a new personal reality, a new life, then you would have to start thinking about what you've been thinking about and change it. You would have to become aware of your unconscious thoughts and observe them. You would have to pay attention to your automatic habits and behaviors and modify them. And you would have to look at the emotions you live by every single day that are connected to your past and decide if those emotions belong in your future. You see, most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You literally have to become someone else. And you are here this week to learn vital information about creating a future and be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memories of the past. Because if you are not defined by some vision that is bigger than you and you are not passionate about that vision, then you are left with the old hardware of the past in your brain and you will be predictable in your life. So would you agree then? New thoughts, new information should lead to new choices. New choices should lead to new behaviors, and new behaviors should create new experiences, and new experiences should produce new emotions, and those new emotions should drive new thoughts. And that's called evolution. So if your brain is a record of the past and you don't have a vision of the future, then you are living in the past. And you will never arrive at that new future. Now there's another potential for you to exist free from the chains of the old self. That potential exists right now. And I want you to teach your body emotionally what it would feel like so that it begins to believe it's in the actual experience of freedom. Let your body feel freedom so that it thinks it's in the experience. And I want you to sit in your body emotionally to feel the joy of how you would feel. So the body begins to be in a future potential now emotionally, and there's a potential for you to have all your needs met and be wealthy. And I want you to instruct your body to experience wealth and the joy of riches ahead of the actual events, so your body thinks it's in the experience. If you feel it, your body thinks it's in the experience. It doesn't know the difference. Now there's a potential in the field for a genius mind, quicksilver thoughts, insights that take you to new horizons. Now where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So you want that energy to move right to the top of your head. So then as you inhale, you bring that energy all the way up to the top. You keep following your breath. You lock all the way to the top. When you get to the top, now you hold your breath. And when you hold your breath, you contract those intrinsic muscles and you begin to lift those muscles up and you begin to compress those muscles and you begin to push that cerebral spinal fluid up into your brain. So then why do I ask you to inhale and hold your breath? Now this isn't inhaling and turning purple and pushing. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. It's a slow, steady breath and you follow that breath all the way to the top, either to the top of your head or you put your awareness on where that pineal gland is between the back of your throat and the back of your head. Now when you inhale, that inhalation is very slow and very steady. It's not a big inhalation and pushing. It's a slow, steady breath. and you're contracting these muscles and coordinating it, and you're following your breath all the way to the top of your head. And when you get to the top of your head, I'm going to ask you to inhale a little bit more, and as you pull up, you're going to lock these muscles down even further, and you're lifting them up. Once you lift them up and you have your attention either on the top of your head or the space that your pineal gland occupies in space, I'm going to ask you to lock those muscles down and pump, squeeze, or push. And I want you to push that fluid up into your brain by squeezing the muscles. Not by holding your breath harder, but by squeezing those muscles. I want you to begin to pump that fluid and begin to compress up against your pineal gland. When you do this breath, you have to demonstrate a will that's greater than any program. You have to find a level of intensity or a level of passion that's greater than the body as the mind or any addiction to any emotion. You have to be inspiration, the movement of energy. Don't be afraid of it. Just surrender into it. For some people, their body will do unusual things. That's information trying to be integrated into it. Don't be afraid of it. Just surrender into it. If your body does weird things, more than likely that's energy moving to your brain. If you have a lapse of consciousness, or you all of a sudden find yourself on the ground, that's energy moving into your brain. It's happened to me numerous times. It's a sign that you're getting close, or at least doing it correctly. Now, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So you want that energy to move right to the top of your head. Inspiration, the movement of energy. You have to find a level of intensity or a level of passion that's greater than the body as the mind, or any addiction to any emotion. Don't be afraid of it. Just surrender into it. On a Sunday morning while she was in the shower, her husband said goodbye to his 2 children, yelled something to her while she was in the shower, and then went to the tallest building in Amsterdam and jumped off the building and committed suicide. Now that is a stressful event, and when she got the news, she experienced all the emotions that people experience from something that's shocking and traumatic like that. She was suffering, she was in pain, she was resentful, she was guilty, she was confused, she was angry. She went through the whole gamut of emotions, and all of those emotions, by the way, are derived from the hormones of stress. So she has an event in her life. It changes her biologically. She doesn't know how to control her emotional reaction. It turns into a mood, one long emotional reaction. If you keep reviewing that event in your mind, you begin to produce the same chemistry in your brain and body as if the event was occurring. So her body is being conditioned to the past because she's reliving the experience 50 to 100 times in a day, and her body is beginning to believe it's in the same past experience over and over again. It ultimately goes from a mood to a temperament, and now people are asking her in her life, "Why are you so upset?" She tells the story, and she's basically saying, "I am this way because of this event that happened to me 4 months ago."